I'm John Hinkle, the senior pastor of First Presbyterian Church here in downtown Murfreesboro on the corner of College and Spring. And this is usually when you get your Saturday morning preview of Sunday morning sermon. And just by the way, we're starting a new series of sermons on the book of Ruth, which Ruth is one of my favorite books in the Old Testament. And I'm very excited about preaching this series. But as many of you are fully aware of, this past week, starting Sunday, we had two moments in the life of the church where we were personally in contact with someone who was diagnosed with COVID. First on Sunday, and then on Wednesday. And it's important to note that those who were COVID positive Wednesday, they found out on Thursday, those people were fully vaccinated. And so I called a meeting of the New Beginning Task Force. We sat along with Jim Crumley, who's the new chair of the Reemergence Task Force that was kind of going to bring us out of our COVID fog. And so Jim was there also, and we gathered together and we decided unanimously and prayerfully that we're going to do a reset. We're going to take 2 weeks off of on-site ministry that includes worship. So we'll have worship online this Sunday and next Sunday, just to kind of reevaluate what's going on in our church to make sure no one else was affected by COVID or came down with COVID, to understand what's going on in our community. If you look at the latest statistics, it's clear that that COVID is exploding again here in Rutherford County, Davidson County, Williamson County, and especially in the counties below us. And so I thought, instead of a Saturday morning preview, a Sunday morning sermon, that I would bring in somebody today just to kind of talk to us about what has happened. And even though I'm a doctor, I'm not that kind of doctor. So I brought one of our good friends, Dr. Eric Egley, to come and be with us. And so I'm going to see how I don't think I can flip the thing around, Eric. I'm looking right now. So what I'm going to do is we're going to be real professional here. I'm just going to turn around and like this. This is how they do it in Hollywood. So now you're looking at Dr. Eric Egley. Good morning, Eric.
Good morning.
Eric actually, it is clear, Eric actually shaved for this. I never shave for the Saturday morning preview. So he looks great. I look scruffy. But Eric, thank you for coming down to the church and talking to us. So let me just ask the first question. Eric, what happened? I mean, what in the heck happened between the spring and now? Where in the spring, when we looked at the CDC guidelines, it looked like we were coming out of this. But now it looks like we've taken at least a small step back. But for many, it feels like a major step back. So can you explain to us what happened?
Well, the big change that has gone on is the Delta variant being part of what's happened. I think some important things to realize are that as COVID has gone on, we are not back where we were months ago before vaccines. With the changes have gone on over time. We're seeing that the vaccines have been effective at helping prevent death from the disease, hospitalization from the disease, and moderate to severe illness from the disease. That for people who were vaccinated, things got better, including up in about 2-3 months ago, with being able to say, if you were vaccinated, you can go about life as you once knew it, not have to wear a mask and not have to keep your distance. But the Delta variant that's becoming a more prominent thing they found is much more contagious. It's something we're seeing that there are people who've been vaccinated who are getting it too, and are able to be people who spread it. Fortunately, if you have been vaccinated and you get it, it is typically a milder disease. But again, we're seeing numbers of people who've been vaccinated to get it, and even to be small numbers of the parts of the people who are hospitalized from it or die from it too. And that's brought about some changes in the recommendations.
So let's talk about some of the changes that the CDC is recommending, because that's one of the things that the task force has tried to do is pay very close attention to what the CDC is saying. So talk to us about the latest changes. with the CDC?
Well, some of the changes again, the changes that have gone on that they're talking about now are strictly for vaccinated people. For unvaccinated people, the recommendations have not changed throughout all this. It's still a matter of wear a mask, keep a distance, avoid mass gatherings. But for people who are vaccinated, the changes are if you were exposed to someone with COVID, up until Tuesday, it used to be that you didn't have to do anything. You could go about life. You needed to watch for symptoms if they arose and be tested, but you did not have to isolate, or you didn't have to quarantine like non-vaccinated people have to. But now the recommendation is if you're a vaccinated person and you're exposed to COVID, that you should wear a mask in indoor public places. It's not a matter of quarantining, but wearing a mask and being checked for COVID 3 to 5 days after the exposure. And if that's negative, then you can stop wearing a mask in indoor public spaces. And if it's positive, you're going to go about the 10-day isolation like usually you would do. But it's gone from if you're vaccinated, go about life, to now, if you're vaccinated, take the precaution of wearing a mask so that you aren't somebody who spreads it in that being in indoor places. And if you don't get checked, the recommendation is to wear a mask for 14 days. But that's one of the big changes that's gone on with it. It still is officially the case that if you're vaccinated, you can go about life as normal and not have to wear a mask and not have to be socially distanced. But part of the recommendation now too is that if you live in areas that have a certain level of COVID in your area, that everyone vaccinated should wear a mask in indoor public areas. And most of the state of Tennessee, most of the country, when I was looking last night, almost 70% of the United States is an area that has high enough numbers where the recommendation is for vaccinated people to wear a mask in indoor public areas.
So Eric, so I assume then what was true before the spring is still true today. If one of our members or somebody we know all of a sudden is not feeling well, they need to go see their physician right away. Is that still correct for everybody?
I think to be seen, to be checked is an important thing. And one of the things about it too is with a lot of times COVID ends up presenting to people, and for what I've heard people say in my office is that, oh, I think I'm just coming down with a cold, or I think I'm just getting a sinus infection. And here in Middle Tennessee, having sinus stuff go on is a pretty common thing. But now really a lot of people who feel like they're coming down with something with their sinuses, it turns out to be COVID. And if you're vaccinated, that might be about as bad as it gets, but it does not have to be, oh gosh, I feel miserable, I can't get out of bed. It really can be just, I don't feel good.
Right,
and,
right.
And have that to be something to say, I don't feel good, it's not bad. I think this might be a sinus infection or a cold. I'm not going to go out in public today, and not, oh, it's just that. And that's.
So here's a question, and this is a personal question. You were talking about vaccinated people need to be masked in large indoor gatherings. But right down the street on the square is the neighborhood family farmers market I plan to go. I had direct contact with at least one member who was COVID positive, so I'm trying to take all the precautions in the world. Should I wear a mask at the farmers market?
The recommendation about the mask is for indoor public areas.
Okay, good. Well, I'll have my mask ready.
I think it wouldn't be a bad idea just not being up in people's faces, but
Not to give them the brotherly kiss as we read in the book of Acts. I will refrain from doing that. I will refrain. Is there anything else you'd like to share about what's going on and what maybe something else we should know?
I mean, those really are the big things, and just to being somebody on the task force to say too that we are all very, very sad about this and the setback that this has been, and the decision to close for the 2 weeks is really a matter of having had 3 people here in our congregation to have it, and to be in church and to be among people. And the potential for it being a Delta variant and the Delta variant being much more contagious, we really thought we just need to stop and see how this plays out, and not potentially be something to spread to a lot of other people for not just taking a time out from it.
Absolutely. I think one of the things that I have been pondering, and I don't say this to scare anybody. I don't say this to create fear or panic, but as we look at our congregation and knowing our members, a large majority of our members were vaccinated and have been vaccinated. And for us to have an event, and there were about 100 people Wednesday night, so 2% of the population in our church. I'm not great at math, but I know math enough to know 2 people out of 100 is 2%. That's a large percentage of somebody who has COVID in within the population. As I've been thinking, there's no way we are the outlier. There's no way we are the epicenter of this moment. If this is happening to First Presbyterian Church, this has got to be happening in Murfreesboro and Rutherford County.
Yes.
So, well, Eric, I appreciate you getting up and being with us. I appreciate you cleaning up and shaving. You look much. We're doing the Hollywood thing. You're much better looking than your minister. So that's it. That's if you have any questions, I know members of the task force would be more than glad to kind of sit down with you and kind of explain the process that we went through. And again, as Eric said, if you're disappointed, please know that the members of the task force are truly disappointed. They're all ruling elders. They were I still remember the day we gathered on Saturday in the spring with the CDC recommendations, and we were filled with hope, and I'm still filled with hope. In fact, that's what Sunday's sermon is about. I've got hope, and we'll get through this, and we'll move forward. So listen, have a great Saturday. Wash your hands and just be aware of your surroundings. And we'll talk to you soon.